And we bring in Reggie Rucker for more analysis on the Browns today and for the whole season and what a difference a year makes. 4 wins to end the year last year, 4 losses to end the year this year.
Well, Andy, last week we talked about, I think you asked me where was this football team, and I said that I don't think there's been any progress made. Last year you win 4, this time you lose 4. Last year you got paid for winning 4, that means another year. This year, according to last year's premise, I don't think Eric Mangini is going to make it because this football team looked totally in disarray today. I'm still looking for the game plan. I was confused. How do you come out and start throwing the ball on every play, and then once you get down, you go back to running the ball? It seems like that should have been reverse kind of philosophy. So all in all, I think that we're, and I'm hearing a lot of stuff about you can't keep firing coaches every 2 years. Oh, yes, you can. If you keep making a mistake in terms of hiring them and putting the right people out there in place, then sometimes you just have to just cut your losses and let's move on.
Reggie, you said 4 weeks ago, and Reggie always tells us you can go back and watch the tape.
That's right.
You said after a win, you said, hey, this team could very easily win the next 4 or lose the next 4. What was it that you saw a month and a half ago? Because now today, you were right dead on, they've lost 4 in a row. What did you see that made you realize that?
Well, I see a football team that really hasn't turned the corner yet in understanding how this sport is played in 2010 and 2011. Since the rules changes began to take place in 1990, and all of the rules changes that have been taking place have been offensive changes, and they've all been to allow the football team to throw the football. And I just saw an old philosophy here based upon running the football in the snow and doing all this. Well, you got all these high-tech fields today. There's no snow on the field. There's no reason why you have to do a certain thing in Cleveland in December now that you can't do in Miami. So this game today is based upon a very sophisticated philosophy of past permissiveness that the Cleveland Browns do not have. And I saw that a long time ago, and I just know you cannot win in this league by simply pounding a runner at defenses.
All right, let's just kind of look at it this way. You're saying Eric Mangini is gone tomorrow.
I believe that Eric Mangini has seen his last day as coach of the Cleveland Browns.
All right, so let's move forward now. Does Mike Holmgren want to walk away from his 9-to-5 job as president of the team and come back down on the field? Is that your choice, or where do you think this team should go? Yeah, he works 9 to 5. We all work 9 to 5, don't we?
Some of us.
I didn't know you made that kind of money.
I didn't know. No, the money, the 9 to 5, I wish too. I'm 0 for 2 in that category. So what do you, is Mike Holmgren the right choice here, or what is the right move for this franchise? They are better, and I'm going to say this, they are a better franchise, I think, today when Eric, a little bit. Yeah. You don't think so? I think that things are going in the right direction in some aspects.
Well, I tell you, they're great. I mean, we could take forever. I love the question, and I've got a couple of different answers. Number one, first of all, I would say that of all of the candidates out there to coach the Cleveland Browns, Mike Holmgren is my first pick. What is the contractual situation that exists there where the owner of this team has indicated to Mike Holmgren, if you decide to coach this football team, at what salary do you coach it at? Is it going to be this $8 to $10 million that he makes as president? I don't think anybody's going to make $8 to $10 million coaching the Cleveland Browns at this point in time. So that's the answer to the first part. The next part is if he decides not to come down and he feels in critiquing himself, because after all, who critiques Holmgren?
Right. That's
okay. So if he decides not to come down out of the ivory tower and he looks for a coach, I think the coach is going to be a coach that he can sit up there in that booth with every day, folks, and say, I know the way you should be playing football in the National Football League in 2011. You got to be throwing this football. You got to throw to win in this league. You got to be able to run the ball only to control the game, only to control it. How many times did Pittsburgh run the football? What did Pittsburgh run today for? But how many points did they score? They scored 41 points, and they've been doing this. The game has changed, folks, And I've been trying to get that into everybody's head that this is not the NFL of yesteryear. This is today's NFL. And just watch these kids on these college bowl games throw this football. Yeah. Look at them throw. Nobody, you couldn't throw, you didn't have this many kids throwing the football with these releases, with these arms. They're 6'4", they're 6'5". They're throwing this pill all over the yard. Man, give me a uniform. I got to get back out there.
All right, in saying that, then this move, if the move happens, the most important guy, Colt McCoy, right? Don't they have to get a coach that works for Colt McCoy, an offense that works for Colt McCoy? Mike Holmgren is a West Coast guy. And these last 2 weeks, Reg, I'm not saying I'm not still for Colt, but he had a learning experience these last 2 weeks.
No, I watched the game critically today, and I watched it as if I was a wide receiver out there preparing to play, and would have done the same thing as I did when I played. And I saw some plays that I told friends of mine who were watching me. I said, see, the quarterback should have given that ball to the deep receiver. Now, why wouldn't you do that? Okay, either you're afraid of something, you need to be uninhibited out there. You need to let that arm go. You need to throw that football. Now, am I concerned about the overall ability of Colt to throw the football up here? Yes, I am. Even Mike Holmgren indicated that. Let's not anoint him yet, okay? You saw Ben Roethlisberger out there do things out there that, you know, I've not seen a ball thrown like the one he threw to Mike Wallace. He threw that ball up in the stratosphere, and he threw that thing at a flick of the wrist about 55 yards, only it comes down out of the sky into this guy. You cannot, you've got to be able to, I've been saying this forever now, you've got to get a player at quarterback that dominates the game, because until you do, you will not get past Baltimore or Pittsburgh.
No matter who the coach is, and by the way, you could go Holmgren $5 million to be president and $5 million to be head coach. That way you earn your money, right?
Wow.
But no matter who the head coach is, what does his team need next year? And aren't they, I mean, going back to my earlier point, aren't they a little bit better off talent-wise than they were a year ago?
I think the case can be made that they may be a little bit better off talent-wise, simply because, you know, you've got some free agents that came in under Tom Heckert's watch. You've got a Colt McCoy. But let's say, going forward, a Colt McCoy should be threatening somebody else. That's when you know now that we're going to get the very best player. If Colt McCoy is the top of your food chain and you practically have to give the job to him, I'm concerned about that. I'm concerned about that. But to answer your question, wide receiver, right tackle, running back, pass rusher, got to get those things. That's 4 things right there. And you got to get those 4 things immediately and to compete, because I'm tired of sitting here and watching Kansas City get better in 1 year, Tampa Bay get better in 1 year, St. Louis Rams get better in 1 year. Folks, those are all the same teams that were in misery with us. And so now they're no longer in misery. They're moving. You've got to move immediately. We cannot wait around for 5 and 11, 5 and 11, you know, 7 and 9. No, it's got to go to 10 and 6. It's got to go there, and we've got to be competitive right now.
Is Eric Mangini's signature mistake, after keeping his job last year, not getting an offensive coordinator, or not going to Mike Holmgren and saying, what offense should I use, considering how bad the offense was last year? I know they went through a couple quarterbacks, but now that we look at it 16 games later, wouldn't it have been better to go to Mike Holmgren and say, what kind of offense do you want me to run? Get me an offensive guy.
The mistake is not watching Sunday night. I mean, Sports Sunday Night right here, because we told them. We've been here, you know, I've been here a long time. You guys have been here a long time. I've been watching this forever, okay? We told them, you can't go into the season without a playmaker at wide receiver. You can't do that, okay? You let James Harrison go. He represented the only potential breakaway runner out of the backfield. You had nothing else. You saddle these quarterbacks with no one to throw to, no one to make plays for them, no one to take it the distance, no home run threats. Teams didn't even have to bump and run. The game today was so bad that the Pittsburgh Steelers fans left early.
All right, Reggie, we got to wrap it up. Just a final thought here. I'm sure we'll be back next week to talk Browns football as well, but just a final thought for tonight.
Well, I want to say this, and I want to say this in all seriousness. I really have grown to like Eric Mangini. I listen to him. The guy has grown individually and personally. And the ideology part of what he does, I think, has grown too. And I heard him at the end of that press conference. He thanked the media. He said, you know, forgive him for sometimes when he wasn't patient and so forth. And he asked, he just hopes that he's become a better person, I guess, at what he does. And I think so. It's just a little too late. And perhaps, Coach, he just wasn't the guy for this job.